active and positive member of our community, taking leadership roles in a variety of organizations and activities, as well as excelling in the classroom. She received the highest honor that Nebraska law bestows upon a current student, the Woods-Aiken Outstanding Student Award, and she also is the recipient of the university's 2022 Woman of Character, Courage, and Commitment Award, which recognizes those within the UNL's community who've had positive impacts through their personal, professional, mentoring, and peer relationships. Murphy also was the 2023 Symposium Editor for the Nebraska Law Review. And while I'm sure Murphy appreciates these honors and awards, maybe not while she's standing there waiting to give her speech, but it is clear to me that such recognition does not drive her. Murphy is the type of leader and the type of person who works behind the scenes to ensure a group's success, constantly recognizing and affirming those around her. She personifies the ideal of inclusive leadership, and she leads with grace and kindness and enthusiasm. Murphy's worked hard to build our college community and the community of the class of 2024 specifically, and it is my tremendous honor to welcome Murphy Cavanaugh on behalf of the class of 2024 to provide some remarks.
Oh my God, I don't even know how to follow that up. All right, well, good evening, fellow graduates, faculty, staff, family, and friends, and I'd also like to extend a special welcome to our family members and loved ones that are joining us via live stream, wherever that may be. Again, my name is Murphy Cavanaugh. I've had the pleasure of serving the class of 2024 as our SBA president for the past 3 years. Before I begin, I also wanted to thank Damon Berry for traveling to Lincoln and taking time out of his busy schedule to be our commencement speaker this evening. For those who do not know, Damon spoke to our class at our 1L orientation in the fall of 2021. He gave us advice and encouragement before we really knew what we had gotten ourselves into and couldn't really back out at that point. Ending our law school experience with Damon sending us off into the legal field is more than fitting, so thank you for being here. I'd also like to welcome Chancellor Bennett, the Honorable Judge Bishop, and NSBA President Mike McCarthy. Thank them for being here. And finally, an early congratulations to Larry Johnson on his honorary degree. The class of 2024 welcomes you and thanks you for all that you've done during your career. I also want to thank Katie Fainensteel for all the work that she has done to not only put on commencement, but countless events throughout our time here at the Law College. Her work does not go unnoticed. Katie, thank you. And finally, I want to thank Dean Moberly and the entire Dean's office for guiding us the last 3 years. That includes Dean Brumman, Jill, Ann, Amber, Derice, Bambi, Raimi, Cindy, Ariana, and Julie, and anyone else that's in that office. Thank you for all you do to make our legal education possible. When I first began helping plan the commencement, I thought I was not the right person to give the commencement speech. Our class is filled with many high-achieving, well-spoken, engaging, and diverse voices that deserve to be heard by our community. Why listen to me for the millionth time when you've already heard me speak at like every event that we've ever had? I expressed these feelings with Dean Moberly last summer when we first met to brainstorm ideas about commencement and what we wanted in a commencement speaker. As I explained, I felt there were better representatives from our class to deliver the commencement address. Dean Moberly asked me one straightforward question. Why do you not think you are qualified to do this? So that question echoed in my mind for a couple months after that. And while I tried to come up with something inspiring and engaging to say to all of you, and for a while, I really did not have anything. I'm gonna be so honest, I had nothing to say. I thought I could copy the commencement speech from Legally Blonde because I can do a decent Reese Witherspoon impression, or I would copy Anna Kendrick's speech from Twilight and call it good, and just skate by. It wasn't until December that inspiration finally struck me. If you've talked to me for more than 5 minutes this semester, I probably mentioned my trip to New York City that I took with my mom, and on that trip I dragged her to 2 Broadway shows that she knew absolutely nothing about, promising her, don't worry, I swear you're gonna enjoy these, which all of my friends have also heard me say that many times before too. One of these shows was titled Merrily We Roll Along. If you're unfamiliar with the work of Stephen Sondheim, that's totally understandable. I'm just a theater nerd who never really grew up. But to explain the show a little bit, it follows a trio of friends who navigate success, loss, life, relationships, and friendships through the 50s, 60s, and 70s. The story, however, is told backward, starting with their broken relationships and ending with them becoming friends for the very first time. And it illustrates how they got to the point that you see at the beginning of the show. The most impactful part of the show is at the very end when they first meet and fantasize about the lives that they have ahead of them. Daniel Radcliffe's character, Charlie, is on the rooftop with his two best friends, the people we, the audience, know he will grow with as young professionals and a friend over the next few decades. As they fantasize about their dreams and aspirations, he boldly declares, "Someday just began." Hearing that in the theater threw me back in my seat because that's where we are today. That's where I was in that moment in the dark theater. That someday that I had been dreaming about for so long was within my grasp. I was about to embark on my final semester of law school, something that I had thought about for years, and down to the minute sometimes. My someday was just beginning. And many of us have had those somedays, the days that we dream about getting to. That someday might just be getting to Friday. On a long Monday, we think, someday it's gonna be Friday. Throughout this educational labyrinth, we've gone through by telling ourselves, I will get through this. I just need to get through this week. Actually, no, I need to get through this week. No, actually, it's this next week that I have to get through. But someday, I will get through this final season. Someday, I will get through my seminar paper. Someday, I will catch up on clinic work. Someday, I will ace that cold call, even if today might not be that day. Someday, I will finish my negotiations journal. Someday, I will definitely not write my law assignment the night before the due date. Someday, I will finish that outline. Someday, I will start that outline. Someday, I will remember to read the notes cases. Someday, I will make it through my 1L year. Someday, I will make it through my first week of 1L. Someday, I'll get accepted into law school. Someday, I will ace the LSAT. Someday, I will graduate from law school. Someday just began. The day we've been working for the past 3 years and even longer has arrived. And now, we can look back and see that we made it through all of those milestones. We've achieved so much during our time here. Whether that was working in the clinic, getting a Cali, passing a challenging class, making that competition team, or even getting through your last final with a solid 5 because that's all the gas that you had left in the tank. I'm definitely not talking about real estate transactions, Professor Mandel, I'm so sorry. We can look back and know that we left it all out on the field the past 3 years. And now, we have new Sundays that are just beginning. We have so many career milestones to look forward to in the future. Someday, I will accept my first job out of law school. Someday, I will pass the bar. We're speaking into existence because it's gonna happen. Someday, I will get my own office. Someday, I will successfully open and close my first case. Someday, I will get my first client referral. Someday, I'll argue in front of my first jury. Someday, I will move across the country for that dream job. Someday, I'll argue in front of the Nebraska Supreme Court. Someday, I will mentor a student just like my mentor did with me. Someday, I will be the one interviewing the law students for summer positions. Someday, I will make partner. Someday, I will open my own practice. Someday, I will mentor a law clerk I hired. Someday, I will encourage someone to go to law school because I know how great a decision it was for me. Someday I will look back and be thankful I made it through the good times and the bad to get to my degree. We have many somedays out there, milestones in our careers that we will meet in due time. because we took a chance on ourselves to come to Nebraska Law and do something hard. We can be grateful to ourselves for taking a chance on us, because on that first day of law school, when we were still messed up, wondering what we got ourselves into, and we didn't know anyone else's names or faces, we thought to ourselves, I don't think I can do this. They accepted the wrong person, I'm not the one that's supposed to be here. But then, as time went on, we thought to ourselves, someday I will graduate. Someday I will get through this. Someday I will hold that JD in my hands. Someday I will walk across that stage and graduate. And my fellow classmates, my fellow lawyers, someday just began. Thank you.
It is now my pleasure to introduce